shoot. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, stop me. 4 takes, that's true. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, you got me.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Cobb and Dash Show. How's everyone doing?
Doing great, man. How about you guys?
Doing great. Great to be here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I can't complain at all. I'm loving life right now, man. Number 2 in the league. I think this is like the 4th year in a row. Like I've gone to week 6 or week 7 where I'm like in the top 3. It's pretty good, man. It's nice to be on this streak. You know, I only one championship to come from it, but hey, man, based on what I'm seeing, none of these teams scare me, so I'm loving life right now. But yeah, obviously some big things happened this week. Probably one of the bigger week 6s in a long time. I guess in the new era of the new Stu, taking away kind of the Stu rule where you can actually trade draft picks, and this was the deadline for that. You capitalized, Cobb and Barry. Some might say you not capitalized, but you're putting your eggs in a lot of your eggs in this basket of 2022. So before we get started with the show, I want to ask you guys kind of where your head was at this week. Cobb, you kind of look like you're looking for next year. It looks like kind of regrouping based on what we've seen the last few years from you. Is kind of different to see you kind of in the basement of the league, the basement of the BL Plus. So talk to us about your motives behind all the moves you made.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely kickstarted by the Alex trading that was going on. I took a look at my roster, compared it to the rest of the league. I was not out of playoff contention. I definitely still could have made it. I'm only a game out and some points 4 out. But I was looking at my roster and just comparing it top to bottom with other people, just because of the investment into that Broncos team. Didn't feel like it was my year. Felt like if there was a time to start rebuilding, at least try and get quicker on the rebuilding side of things, it was time to make a move, and that's why I traded Joe Mixon. Got a good offer for that, and then with you had one of the first trades we've had in a while, at least with Alan Lazard. So I think it worked out for both of us. I got a 7th, you got Lazard, and then same with the Mixon deal. So I don't think it's going to be the final trade I make, but felt like I had to make a decision, and I'm happy with where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it might have been our first deal we've ever made. I can't think of any other deals we've made together.
Yeah, I remember Chris and Michael one back in the day.
Yeah, I mean that's
what we talked about. And I never traded.
Yeah, it shows how stingy you are with trading with me. But the fact that we got a deal done shows how all in you are on this rebuild. So you don't like trading with me. So the fact you're giving me a player for a 7th round pick shows how likely you are to just go this full on rebuild. So Barry, talk to us. You've gotten a lot of attention this week in group messages and just random league people texting me about what you're doing. What are you doing?
Hey, I'm playing to win. I'm playing to win. A lot of people say that my trade was very unnecessary, but with the losing record and everything, 2-4, I'm playing to win. Like I might fucked up my draft next year, but I'm going all in this year. So
yeah, that's some could say that. But the thing that struck me and also a few other people who messaged me in the league was teams that go all in are usually teams that are in the top 4, top 5, top 6 even. You're not. You're 2-4, you're 2 games under 500. If you lose this week, you're 3 games under 500. Why make that deal? And follow up, what happens if you lose this week in Adam? Where do you go from here?
Well, I feel like I'm not out of it, even if I lose to Adam, it's like I feel like I'm not out of it. I feel like even previous teams I've had in the past, I was able to get back in the race, even if I had a losing record, I was able to finish strong. So we've seen other people finish like that too. So I feel like it was the right time to make the move.
Cobb, Barry's 2-5. Does he make playoffs? If he loses this week, he's 2-5. Does he make the playoffs?
Well, I'm gonna say yeah. I was looking at some other teams. I think there's 2 teams I have in mind, maybe 3 that are currently in the playoffs that I think are kind of pretenders. They didn't make moves. They didn't strengthen their roster like Barry did and like some other teams did that are trying to compete this year. So, yeah, I'm going to say he does. But if it goes more than if you lose 2 times in a row, that's it. It's a lot of pressure for sure.
Yeah. Now it's gonna be interesting to see you, Barry. See how you kind of ride this one out. I'm rooting for you. Like Cobb and I are talking. I think that you're the team that, like, if it's not for our teams, and obviously Cobb's done, so he's putting his eggs in. He's betting on a horse, and you're gonna be his horse he's betting on. Or
You're not rooting for me.
Me? Well, I'm rooting for myself, obviously. Why the fuck would I root for you? But if I'm not gonna win, I'd want you to win. So
it's a coin toss between you and Stu for me. So I'll be happy.
Yeah, Stu already. Yeah, and that's the thing. You both have one title on your belt, so
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we got it.
And maybe I don't want
almost 10.
Pretty much anybody besides ZT and Adam would be who you're rooting for. Who's in the playoffs hunt right now? Who would be getting their first title if you don't want them to join you in the 2 championship title, Cobb? Then you'd probably want everybody to lose besides ZT and Adam.
No, I'm not that kind of owner. I know some of us are, but
you just told me you don't want me to win for that reason. You don't want me to be in the fucking the elite 2.
Oh, that's you. You're different.
That's funny.
Come on now.
All right. Okay, so now we're going to go to the Week 6 takeaways. So we talked about the trades, and very interesting. But the Week 6 takeaways, based on what we saw last week, what were some things that stuck to you? What was one thing that stuck to you guys from the Week 6 matchups?
Yeah, I mean, my big takeaway, we kind of just talked about it, but I think it's getting real. The teams that are trying to contend are made their moves, and we'll see if it shakes out. So the season's ramping up.
Barry, what was your takeaway?
I was going to say the same thing, and Stu's also 6-0. He almost lost last week, but he's also still 6-0. So.
Yeah, pretty much the same. I thought the biggest takeaway really was Ruben beating Hotch. I thought that was that was interesting. That's a guy that we had for the last 2 weeks, or actually for the first 5 weeks of the year, we had him as the Tomato King or Pancake King, and then the last 2 weeks we haven't. We've had Adam in that, or Alex in that position, and Ruben's been on a winning streak. He won the high scorers 3-3, beat a good team in Hotch, the reigning champion. His team doesn't look any better. I mean, it still looks like the same shitty team, but he scored 140. It just shows you how bad that the fantasy scores are this year. That 140 is giving you the high score. And on top of that, Stu edging out Adam in an ugly Monday night win. Jerry Jeudy, all Jeudy had to do was get like a couple points. He didn't get it, and Stu ends up winning. And Stu now plays. We'll get into who he's playing this week. He's playing Roden this week. Roden's a tough team, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And then if Stu does win, and Barry wins this week, or if Barry loses this week, he has to play Stu next week, the undefeated team. So Stu potentially could be Barry's the first loss with Cup on Barry's team. So gonna be interesting to see. So that was my takeaway. But the person who was the low score of the week was our guy David Roden, and he was able to send in a video this week. And of course, everyone knows that the low score chug is brought to you by our partners and our friends at MPB Fitness. It's getting close to Halloween season, a couple weeks away. If you're trying to lose some weight beforehand, our guy Barry, and if you want to lose some weight before Turkey Bowl season and Thanksgiving, so you can splurge on Thanksgiving, contact our guy Marcus Berry at Marcus Berry Fitness. You can find him on Instagram. And here's a little advertisement from our guy MPB Fitness.
Another one of my favorite workouts is the reverse lunge. The way we're gonna do this is we're gonna step on the resistance bands, and then you're gonna place one of your feet backward. And then once you do that, you're gonna raise up the bands all the way up to your shoulders, and then you're gonna squat down, okay? You're gonna start your lunge. So you're gonna make sure your knees are over your toes, and then get in your lunge position and squat down. Making sure your thighs are parallel to the ground.
And again, that's Marcus Berry from Marcus Berry Fitness. Contact him if you're trying to lose some weight, gain some muscle, anything you want. He'll have a customized workout plan catered for you. So that's our guy, Marcus Berry. So now we're going to get to David Roden, who, man, Roden had a rough week last week. A guy who I was pretty high on, but I think with Roden having the triple stack of nears, he's going to have to rely on those guys. If they're not having a good game, then he's going to be fucked. He had an 80.6 last week, which is the low for him, and it was his first chug. And Roden, being the frat guy that he is, he chugged his thing pretty nicely. So here's Roden's video.
Hey fellas, this is for the week 6 lowest score. We put up a measly 80 points this week. It's disappointing, but I'm still enjoying the season in this early stage. I imagine this will be my last time appearing on this chug segment for the year, so just want to wish everyone good luck for the remainder of the season. Cheers. Whoa.
That's how you chug. I mean, we've had 2 back-to-back weeks of Tasia and Roden chugging like champs. ZT, man, needs to fucking learn from these two.
Yeah, I for one hope ZT never gets low scorer again because I can't go through that. That was a lot. That was a lot of beer too. That was like a Stein. Pretty
It
good.
was, and I think it was. Well, let me get the exact what time that was. You said it'd be pretty early because I was like, when was this? Shit, do I not have it anymore? Anyway, yeah, he sent it to me. He sent it Tuesday, like 3 in the afternoon. Hey, man, work from home. Days are different. Post-COVID days are different. You can drink at any time during the day now. No one's going to care. All right, so we're gonna go to the week 7 preview show. So first matchup we have, actually, it's a good one. It's all random. I didn't choose it. That's what comes up. Barry versus Adam. Big week. I'll take this one. Big week. Some say this is probably the biggest game of the week because it's a must win for Barry, because people think, I for one of them, if Barry loses this week, it's over. It's a wrap for him, and it's unfortunate because he's made a big splash. But we're gonna go to it 1v1. So, Barry's going Kyler Murray. Well, I'll have him talk to us about his move there because he's been talking to me about how he's benching Kyler Murray for Derek Carr. So we'll see on that one. But anyway, we got Dak Prescott versus Kyler Murray. I'm going to go Dak here. Detroit, one of the worst defenses in the league, if not, I think the worst passing defense in the league. Drake London, Devontae Adams. I'll take Devontae. Eckler and McCaffrey. I'm going to go wash here between the two of them. If you look at McCaffrey's numbers, insane. You look at Eckler's numbers, pretty good over the last few weeks. So, and I'll just say there's a wash. Even though Seattle's got a really bad defense, so it could be Eckler slight lean, but I'm going to go with wash here. Njoku and Zach Ertz. I'll go Zach Ertz here slightly, but I think it's a wash. Really, if you look at the scores they've had, I'll go wash on that one. Dobbins and Hill. Dobbins probably isn't going to play. And we got Tyreek Hill, obviously Tyreek Hill, Judy and Juju. Man, I'll say wash. And then Derrick Henry and MVS. Derrick Henry. I like how Barry's starting 2 receivers on the Chiefs. So obviously Barry's rooting for me this week. If we're gonna look at his lineup, he's got to be rooting for me this week. But I'll say Barry loses this one. I just think that between McCaffrey and Derrick Henry is just going to give him so much more. And I also think Dak Prescott's going to do that much better than the quarterback on whoever Barry starts, whether it's Carr or Murray. I think Prescott's going to do that much better than that person on the other side. So slight win. I think Adam edges this one out, and Barry's in a hole at 2-5 after this week. But I think Adam wins slightly on a 134-126 kind of game.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's unfortunate that after that big trade, we're not going to see Barry at full strength yet. We're going to have to wait at least another week or another couple of weeks until his full roster is going to be able to play. I know whoever created the schedule I feel like gave Adam some cupcake stuff, because I feel like that's why he's up in the standings right now in 3rd. I think he's one of the pretenders up there, but it is a good matchup this week, at least because of the buys. I don't know how much Dak is going to do coming back from the injury. He's projected pretty high, but Kyler Murray is going against New Orleans. That battle is going to be the thing that you kind of touched on it. It's going to be the thing that decides it, but I do think Barry ends up pulling it out. In a close one, I'm going to go 125-115.
Barry, talk to us about your lineup because you were telling me the last 2 weeks you couldn't wait for Carr to come off his bye because you were going to go Carr and the Las Vegas stack, Viva Las stack. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, I've been doing my research, obviously over the past week with two weeks of losing, and with this decision here Thursday night, you get DeAndre Hopkins back for the Cardinals, and that's Kyler Murray's guy. I think D-Hop's going to be ready to rock after his suspension, and I don't think Marshawn Lattimore is playing tonight, so I think that's going to benefit me and Kyler moving forward. And also, I don't think the Saints' rush D is very good, and Mariota put up some good numbers on the ground against the Saints D, and I think Kyler's going to have a big game on the ground, so that favors him in that matchup. So that's the reason why I made the decision. And I'm going down if Kyler goes down, I'm going down with him. So it is what it is.
That's what I did last year.
Yeah, it's rough. It's weird because you said you've been doing research on the last week. I saw you yesterday. As of yesterday, you were going Carr. So you've been doing research over the last day, and you changed your mind.
I mean, yeah,
or
last day, really.
or you just want to watch somebody on a Thursday night football, and you want to see your guy put up numbers, and he's going to push you up a solid 14, and you're going to get fucked. What do you think about that?
Not a solid 14, but I do want to watch my guy.
D-Hop coming back. Hopefully he feeds him. Well,
yeah,
I'm going against D-Hop, but
hey, that's what I'm expecting. Just him getting fed by Kyler all day, and then as well as Zach Ertz. So I'm excited for the game tonight.
Should be a good one.
This should be a good one, yeah. 100%. All right. Okay, Ms. Cobb, let's talk to us about Hodge versus ZT. That's a good matchup.
This is a good matchup. This is it's not a must win for either, being at 3-3, but definitely in an important matchup. Hodge just made that move for Joe Mixon, giving me a high second, and George Pickens. But Hodge is a guy he's trying to repeat again. He's trying to be the first owner 1 to 4 ships, and also the first to be back-to-back twice. But this week he's starting Marcus Mariota, which is, he did well on the ground last week. I don't know. It's always sketchy playing quarterbacks like that. But with ZT having Lamar, I would give Lamar the edge, even though Lamar has been kind of disappointing the last 3 weeks after opening up looking like his old self. And then we have Jamar Chase versus Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown hasn't been producing like he had been in the beginning of the season. So I'll give Jamar Chase the edge there. Kenneth Walker versus Barkley. I'll give Barkley the edge. Barkley's been looking great. ZT raised some questions when he drafted Barkley over some other players in the first, but he got his guy, and Barkley's been producing. Then we have Greg Dulcich as tight end for ZT. It was the guy that caught the one touchdown last week in Denver, but I don't want to touch anything on that offense. That's coming from me. So that's an interesting pick for tight end. Easy Hockenson pick there. Olave versus Kamara. So we got a key Thursday night matchup there. I'll give Kamara the edge. Kamara's been good since coming back from injury, but Olave has looked really nice in his games when he's played. So it's closer than you think, but I'll give Kamara the slight edge. Ramondre Stevenson versus Damian Pierce. If Damian Harris doesn't play, that's an easy Ramondre pick for me. Otherwise, I'd go Pierce. Mixon versus Ayuk. I'll give it to Mixon. So with this one, this is an interesting one. If Josh Allen, and the fact that it's this close when Josh Allen and Justin Jefferson are on a bye makes it pretty clear that Hodge is the better team overall. But this week has just kind of worked in ZT's favor as far as the bye weeks. But I'm still going to give Hodge the win here slightly. I think his move for Mixon is going to help push him past ZT this week. I'm going to have another close game, good matchup. I'm going to go 140 to 135. But I think the high scorer of the week comes from this game.
Yeah, quickly for me, I'm going to go ZT wins. I think the quarterbacks, the difference in quarterback play is going to be the big difference in this game. And honestly, I mean, his teams, yeah, you're right. Without Josh Allen and Justin Jefferson, I just don't think he can pull it off without those two this week. And even Hotch is just, yeah, he's weary about this matchup. I was talking to him the other day about it. So, Barry?
I'm going to take Hotch to win this one here. I think you said to me earlier, Dash, that Lovie Smith wants to give Damian Pierce the ball more. So,
yeah,
I like that matchup there. I think he's going to have a big game against the Vegas Raiders. And the addition of Joe Mixon, Joe Mixon's one of my favorite players, and I think he's going to have a big game. I'm taking Hotch to win, even though his main guys are on a bye here, but I'm taking Hotch to win 127-125.
All right. I like it. All right, so we have a surprise little guest coming on right now. This guy used to be a full-time co-host of the show. I think he's taken a step back based on his play. And I just don't think he can take the getting dominated on a regular basis, which just shows how kind of weak, actually. But he's coming on here. It's our guy, Alex Olson, our old Numbers Never Lie guy. And he's coming on perfect timing because we're about to talk about Alex and Paul. So here we go. Alex, what's going on, brother? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm driving right now. I want to drop in real quick and say a couple things. I'm not on Wi-Fi, so I wasn't sure I was going to cut in or out. Yeah, official announcement. We are anchored for the first overall pick in the 2023 draft. First time that I've ever decided to do that in any keeper league, any format I've ever played in. I'm excited to see, what my opportunity will bring next year. As everyone knows, Marcus Berry right now is the luck of Alex. It's been coming. I've been very disappointed to make the playoffs every single year, but I've just been like one piece short every single time. I'll make the playoffs, and even then when I'm in there, I'm like, okay, I might be able to win a game or two, which obviously, hasn't worked out. But every single time I'm looking at, the top 4 teams that are sitting there in the playoffs, I'm like, realistically, I'd have to get super lucky in order to win this. And I'm a good enough owner to navigate away to the playoffs, but have not been, just have not had enough pieces to win it all. And after Javonte got hurt and started off, I think 1-3, it kind of dawned on me that I was like, you know what? I'm at a crossroads right now where I'm pretty confident in my managerial skills, where I could hunker down right now and make some trades, and I'm pretty confident I could probably ace the playoffs. But what would that give me? That would give me like the 7th overall pick next year. I'm not going to win it all, so there's no point. What's the worst thing that could happen if I went all in on a rebuild? Absolute worst thing that would happen. You don't know. I love me some pancakes. We're tanking.
It's a good time to cut back in.
I think we're having technical difficulties there. That was nice for Alex to drop in. Alex, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you broke in and out. We heard you say you like pancakes, and then it went back out.
I love me some pancakes.
Yeah.
Rodin's wondering if the IHOP experience is even a punishment for Alex.
That's
not a punishment at all. I'm ready to go, but I'll say this. But before I want to personally thank Marcus Berry for giving me the capital that I needed to go embark on this journey. He gave me a first, a second, and a fourth for Cooper Kupp. First off, I want to say a couple of things. Thank you, Barry. Secondly, if Barry does not, and I'm sure you guys already said this, it might be redundant. If Barry does not win this week, this will go down as the worst trade ever in Basement League history for Marcus Berry. And people might even need to think about potentially a new owner in this league. I mean, that's beyond bad. Going 2-5, trading away your entire future just for go 2-5. It might be the biggest choke, the biggest mistake ever in baseball league history. I'm not a fan. Marcus Berry, what are you doing? Come on.
You got any response to your trade partner there, Barry?
No, I'm playing to win. I'm playing to win this year. So
That's it.
yeah, that's it. I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. It is what it is. He has his. I've got mine, and mine is. It's not too much of one, but I'm here to win this year. So
We didn't touch on this though. You don't have your first round pick next year. You're going to have to trade your second round pick in order to keep Cup to get a higher pick. You don't have a third round pick, because that goes to me from the Tyreek Hill trade last year. You don't have a fourth round pick, and potentially you may have to package that fifth round pick with something to get a first round pick in order to keep Cup. So like, there's potential you might not pick till the sixth round. Are you concerned at all for years to come if you don't do well this year?
yeah, I'll worry about that when that happens. So when we get to the next year's draft, I'm only focused on this season right now. So
All right.
Hey, I'll go on record right now. If Marcus Berry wants to keep Cup next year, I will give him his second pick back in exchange for you know what, if I give a second round pick and maybe in his fourth round pick back in exchange for Eckler. I'll go on record right now. If he wants to do that, we can swap seconds and maybe even throw in a fourth for Eckler. Put it both for next offseason.
That's actually a pretty good
That's a
deal.
really good trade. Yeah.
yeah, ooh.
You can't agree to that now. You can't agree to that now. It's tampering. But hey, I will say this, Alex. Your whole idea of tanking, you have a lot of people out there who are messaging me saying there should be an extra punishment for a person who is tanking. Not only are you going to get to Pancake King punishment, but there should be an additional punishment for a guy who is tanking, because we don't. A lot of people in the league are very upset that there is tanking going on. There's no rules against it, so you can do it all day you want. But there's people who want me to step in and have an executive action, extra punishment on the tanking. I don't think there needs to be extra punishment, but
Yeah, here's what I'll say on that. I actually agree in my other league that this is the way I set it up in my other league. We have the exact same punishment. We have the Waffle punishment, Waffle House challenge for the last place. But whoever gets last place at the end of the regular season has to do the Waffle House challenge. However, they do not get the first overall pick in the next year's draft. The first overall pick basically is the winner of the consolation bracket, and then runner up in the consolation bracket gets the second place. That's how we do it in our league to prevent tanking. I'll say this: like I obviously I traded away Cup and James Conner for some picks to rebuild for next year. I'm not going to bench starters. I'm still actively making moves every single week. I'm going to start my most optimal lineup every single week. I'm not going to be benching starters in order to make sure I get that first overall pick. I'm going to put my best foot forward, but at the same time, I did trade assets to think about next season. And you look at any NFL team when they're trying to rebuild, they do the exact same thing. They'll trade away some of their assets for picks. They're going to put their best foot forward, but knowing that they gave up what they gave up, realistically, they're probably going to finish last. So I'm in the same spot. I'm tanking, but I'm not tanking. Like I'm not throwing matchups to throw matchups. But at the same time, I am giving up. My roster arguably could be the worst roster right now in BL Plus history. So it'd be hard to imagine myself not getting last place just with the current roster I have. But still going to put my best foot forward every week and continue to make moves in the waiver wire.
yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there's anything against tanking. I think like we try to mimic our league as much as possible to the NFL. And I think that we all do a good job of that with our, being owners, having our own like hot take, first take type show here. I get the idea of having a constellation bracket, but come on, I think that's so meaningless. And I think that if you want to tank, that's your prerogative, and we're gonna let you do that. But since you're on right now, we're actually going to yours was the next one, the Alex and Paul matchup. Just before you go, what's your projection of how that game's going to go between you and Paul?
I'm pulling it up right now. Let me take a look. Right now, me versus Paul. We got Matt Ryan versus Herbert. Probably Herbert's been kind of weak recently, but I'll probably go Herbert. Rondell Moore versus Keenan Allen. We haven't seen Keenan Allen all year. Rondell Moore, I think, especially with this being D-Hop's first game, getting acclimated, and obviously Hollywood going down. I think he has a good game. I actually think Moore's got a better game. I'll take Brees over ETN. I don't think Andrews plays this week, so I'll take Freiermuth over his tight end. Kirk Hunt, wash. I'll take Jonathan Taylor, and I think Duvernay Samuel's a wash. So it's close. I think this one comes down to. I think this comes down to QB play. I think when you look down the stretch, I will say Paul. Realistically, I think Paul wins this, but I think this is probably going to be one of my closer games the rest of the season. Just looking at it, I mean, I think I match up semi well against him this week. I will say this for Paul's sake: if Paul somehow loses to me, I mean, I'm going to be the one team probably going forward that when you're matched up against me, it's like, okay, I get a free win this week. If Paul were to choke away that win, it's going to come down to an ass at some point. I don't think he's going to the playoffs of it. That could cost him a bye week. So I'm like that one team that you're almost scared to lose to because it's like you're blowing an easy opportunity. So gonna do my best out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if an upset happens.
All right. Well, Alex, it was nice having you on, man. We look forward to having you on as a hopefully recurring again at some point. Yeah,
we'll see if Paul goes down this week. We might need to come back on the show and have a couple more thoughts.
All right. Well, Alex, it was good having you on, man. We'd love to having your insight on the trade and you tanking going into next year. So we look forward to seeing you can compete with guys like Paul and as we continue with the season, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to be on here. And Barry, I'm rooting for you this week. We want a key second round pick.
Like a backhanded compliment there.
Compliment.
I will say, even when the guy's putting rosters up like this, like awful rosters, he still like finds ways to give him
almost picks himself.
Yeah.
Insane. I mean, Matt Ryan, what are you talking about? Matt Ryan's awful. I mean, I know he put a great week last week, but come on, dude. Yeah. Pot should win. I will say it's closer than it looks like, but Paul should really win this one. There shouldn't be any question on this one.
I'll tell you what, we've seen Ruben's team somehow pull out 3 wins.
It's true.
If Alex pulls out a few wins, and would this be the worst tank job of all time?
That'd be hilarious. And then you actually see him starting bad lineups purposely at that point. Yeah. Barry, give us your full-blown prediction on this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Paul here. He's got something to play for. Yeah, Alex. Obviously, you just made it known that he's tanking. That's it. This final score here, I'm taking Paul 126 to about 102.
Yeah. Cobb?
I'm going to have Paul winning. I don't think Alex cracks 100. I think 100 is going to be his baseline, kind of like what we saw from Ruben for most of the season. So I'm going to go Paul. Let's call it 125 to 95. Let's call it that.
All right. Interesting. Okay. Next matchup here, Barry. I'll let you have this one. This is Dash versus Ruben. Barry's Pickup Lines versus Joe's Crab Shack. What do you think about this one?
Cool. Just give me 1 second here. Just pull this up. All right. Yeah. So in this matchup here, I'm going to take Dash here. Looking at the matchup one by one. You have Pat Mahomes against San Francisco versus Joe Burrow against Atlanta. Bills beat the Chiefs last week, and I think Mahomes is going to be firing hot, even though it's going to be against a tough defense. But I'm taking Mahomes in that matchup there. Debo versus Kansas City. I'm taking Debo. And T. Higgins versus Atlanta. I'm not sure if T. Higgins is going to be playing, but I'm still taking Debo in that situation. Zeke versus Najee Harris. I'm going to take Zeke in that matchup. Kelsey versus Kyle Pitts. Obviously, I'm taking Kelsey. Cooper and Romeo Dobbs. I don't know. Could be a wash there. I feel like Dobbs could have a big game against that non-existent defense from the Commanders there. I'm taking Mozart over Gallup and Lazard over White. So I think Dash wins pretty easily. I'm going to say 133 to about 120.
Cobb?
Yeah, I think it's an easy win for Dash here, just across the board. Ruben could make some noise if the Burrow Higgins stack hits against Atlanta, but even then, it's a tough mountain to climb. So I'm going to go Dash. Let's call it 135 to Ruben barely getting over 100 again, 102.
Yeah, I'm really not going to say much about this match, but I think I'm going to win pretty good. I have a chance to be the high scorer this week, I think. And I will say just that I got Lazard from you. I'm starting him.
Okay.
Well, Lazard trade, it kind of just gives me options now. I mean, if you look at my bench, it's like the 6-man role. Last week I had Brian Robinson. I started him. He got 12. This week I'm going Lazard because I think Lazard has a higher floor than Robinson, because if you take away that touchdown, Robinson gets a fucking 6 last week. So, like, that scared me. And I also started Robinson ahead of Zeke. Zeke had a better game than Robinson. And I have CEH also, who's kind of had a little bit down the last 2 weeks. And then, yeah, so now I have a kind of a rotating guys at 3 different dudes I can put in there. So we like the Lazard trade, and it gives us more flexibility, especially when bye weeks start to come in and all that stuff. So looking forward to seeing how this team continues to shape out. It's cool too. I wanted Lazard before the season started. I remember when Cobb drafted him, I was really upset because I wanted Lazard. So I ended up getting him in the end. So nice.
Key stuff.
Next matchup, we got Roden and Stu. Cobb, what are we thinking about this one, buddy?
Yeah, this is a interesting one. I mean, we had Roden. I beat Roden last week. We just saw his chug for having the lowest score, and he made the proclamation that we weren't going to see him again. Love seeing that, even though it was kind of key seeing him chug that. That was one of the better chugs we've had.
It was nice,
but everything looks good after the ZT shit that we saw. The biggest thing here with this game is trying to see how Tua plays as he comes back, and then seeing if Brady can bounce back, because he is. I don't know. That whole offense has looked. The fact that it looked a mess against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had they came out all guns blazing, but that's not a great defense. Teams have been scorching them, so it kind of worries me a little bit about that Tampa offense. But Tua, Tom Brady, Tua is going against Pittsburgh. Actually, that is kind of ironic. I think I'm going to go Brady just because Tua is just coming back. Mike Evans versus Pittman. I think I'm gonna go. It might be a wash. I'm gonna go Pittman. He got peppered with targets last week. The previous couple of weeks he kind of came back down to earth, but I think last week is more of the scores that we're gonna see for Pittman going forward. Montgomery versus Fournette. I'm gonna go Fournette because Montgomery's going against New England, and New England just shut down Hunt and Chubb last week. Hunter Henry versus Gerald Everett. Call that a wash. Waddle versus Chubb. Give it to Chubb. Mike Williams versus Swift. Swift is potentially coming back from injury. I don't know. He was limited in practice. Mike Williams against Seattle. I don't know. I'll go Swift if Swift's healthy when he's back. Jacobs versus Williams. That's key. Roden's playing Williams when I guess he might make the switch depending on if Swift plays. But I'll go Jacobs. So I think Stu continues his undefeated streak here. I'm surprised his projection looks pretty low, but I think Stu keeps it going. I'll go 130 to 117.
Yeah. Me and my prediction here, I'm taking Stu to win this too. I'm going to go 135 to 117 here. I just think Stu has the better roster here, even though some of his guys are on a bye. But I think I think Chubb's going to have a big game, especially off the week last week. He only got a 7. He usually averages 5 yards a carry, and it's going to be raining here in Baltimore, so I think that game's going to be held on the ground, which means Chubb's in for a big day. So.
You're muted or something? I think you're muted.
Yeah, I agree. Stu wins. Close one though. Although I am rooting for Roden to win because I don't want to have another undefeated team. But I think Stu wins this week, and I think Stu's going to save his first loss to our guy with the Cooper Cup with the three wide receiver ones down there. I think that's where his first loss is going to come, which is kind of funny because he's one of the people who texted me dogging the trade that you did. So it'd be kind of ironic.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there's that. So yeah, I'll do that. Stu wins pretty close though. I wouldn't be surprised if Roden wins, but I think Stu's going to pull this one out. And watch this be the week that he loses because I actually went the other way this time. All right, Barry, finish this off with Tasia and Cobb matchup.
Tasia and Cobb here. Just give me 1 second. Pull this up.
It's a good matchup.
All right, cool. So here, yeah. So the projection's 123 to 106. Tasia is projected to win that one. So the first game here, or his QB matchup here, you have Aaron Rodgers versus Russell Wilson. I'm going to take Rodgers there pretty easily. He had 2 bad losses. You could say one in London and one against the Jets. And I think he's going to come out hot, and he's going to have a big game against a questionable Russell Wilson. He's not Russ from the past. And I think I don't know. I don't even know what to expect from Russ next week. So CeeDee Lamb versus Deontay Johnson. I'm going to take CD there. Aaron Jones versus James Robinson. I'm going to take Aaron Jones there. And then George Kittle versus Schultz. Taking George Kittle there. I said on the previous shows that George Kittle is going to get hot soon. And he had a big game last week. He had 8 receptions for I think it was like 60 yards or something like that. But I think that trend's going to keep going. So, and you have Chris Godwin over Courtland Sutton. Yeah, Godwin in that matchup. Godwin might be the guy there. So we'll see how that goes. Then you have DeAndre Hopkins versus George Pickens. I said it earlier. I think D-Hop's going to get peppered with targets tonight, so I'm taking D-Hop there. So with all of that, Cobb is going to lose this one. I'm going to go with the final score, 118 to about 110 here. Tasia wins.
Yeah, I think Tasia wins as well. I mean, I think Cobb gutted his team. I think outside Alex, another person here who gutted his team big time this week. I would surprise say you gutted your team more so than Alex did because Alex only traded 1 piece. Luckily, I mean, the thing for him, he only had 1 piece in his team. So that's why it seems worse. But yeah, you know, I think what hurt you with the Broncos stack, and you have a triple stack now, and I think that hurts because that's not a high scoring team. And even Vegas has kind of adjusted their lines now. They don't see much of the Broncos. They also think that their head coach will be one of the highest odds of being fired going into this offseason. So Vegas doesn't see a good end of the season for the Broncos, which is scary to think about with your team. But yeah, I think Tasia wins. I think Godwin is their main guy, is their main possession guy. He gets the most targets, so it's not a surprise. Barry, you seem pretty shocked by that. Hopkins dominates. We'll see tonight, really. I think Hopkins will get peppered with targets. I think he's got something to prove. And I think Cardinals actually put up a big spot tonight. I think Cardinals could put up a big spot, but who knows? I mean, that offense is so hot and cold. But yeah, so I think Hopkins will have a good game. I think Rodgers will have a good game. Yeah. And as for, poor Cobb, I mean, it sucks. You know, he had a big run. I think Roden, who's online right now, can agree. Cobb had a big run. It was surprising to his last few years, but I think it's time to return to reality. So I think we're seeing it now with his team that he's fielding this week. So Cobb, The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, I don't know where this the return to reality theme or topic keeps coming into play. Just makes no sense. Really no sense. But I'll let it happen. I made my decision to go with that Broncos offense this year, and I expected big things and got the complete opposite. I mean, no one can tell me with a straight face they expected it to be this bad, even if they weren't a fan. No one expected it to be this bad. But
I thought they were overhyped. I actually
overhyped, sure. Yeah.
I was one of the ones who said, I was like, first time coach, new coach and new quarterback in one system, that usually doesn't pan out well. I think I was amongst one of the few who's actually saying that.
That's fair, but this is beyond bad. Like it's not been great, but I think this matchup comes at a good time for Tasia. He's 2-4. I think he has the least points in the league now that Ruben went off. And I think, he's got, like, right behind Barry, he has probably the best wide receiver group out of the league now that Hopkins back. But I think he's one of the owners that needs to make a decision. I think he should have made a decision of what he wanted to do this season. He did trade away Keenan Allen and got George Kittle, but I feel like you're kind of staying in the middle of the pack. You're not going to compete with some of these top rosters, in my opinion. But with that being said, I do think Tasia wins. My roster isn't great. I'd be surprised if I won. It'd have to be a slugfest for me to win. I'm still similar to Alex. I'm going to be playing this year, but I'm looking on to next year. I do have some other pieces. If anyone wants Deontay Johnson or Cortland Sutton, come get. We can talk. I'm just looking for future assets. So if anyone needs to strengthen their depth, if they don't have depth going in, they want to compete with some of the top rosters, now's your time. So, last week was your time. You should have gotten when your picks could be involved, but we're welcome to talk. But yeah, I think Tasia takes this one.
Just doing a quick little review of your records during the years, Cobb.
You can look all you want. I have 2 championships, bro.
I did 3. Your first 3 years. Your first year you were 7-6. Your second year you were 2-11, and then the following year you were 7-6.
Okay, so one bad year. Key.
So far, I've only gone through 3 years.
It's the stupidest thing. Let's go to Hotch too. I know Hotch is talking shit. Back to normal. He's
no, but what I was saying, Paul, first year head coach and quarterback, the combination is very rare. You don't really see that often, and that's tough. Not one or the other. I'm saying both in 1 year. That's tough. That's what I was saying, Paul. So, all right, now it's time for everyone's favorite, the Pancake King rankings. The Pancake King rankings are brought to you by our partners and our friends at IHOP. So go get it's the home of the stack. So why don't you get your stacks? And based on what we heard from Alex, he can't wait to go to IHOP for his stack next year. So this segment's brought to you by IHOP and the home of the stack. All right, and this segment is brought to you by IHOP. Make sure you go to IHOP, get some stacks, pancake stacks. We love stacks here at PL Plus, and IHOP loves stacks too. They love serving them up. And also, it's fall, so you got the pumpkin pancakes. I'm a huge pumpkin pancake fan. Give me a couple stacks of those. Call it a night. I'll be fucking comatose and out cold big time. But it's probably my favorite part of the show is the Pancake King rankings. Every week, I love it. But it's kind of annoying because it's not like a new guy every week. We've really had 2 Pancake Kings all season, and I think it's going to stick at 2, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, so we're going to start off with our 7th spot. So 7th spot, I had a guy who I think is fringe playoff guy. I think this week will only add to his body of work resume. Huge turnaround for this guy. We talked about it last week. I think Tasia has the 7th spot here. Giant turnaround for what he took over in that horrible team. He referenced it in his chug last week. But I think Tasia has got a really deep team. maybe not a lot of like top tier guys, but he's got a very deep team. He was made fun of at the draft for some of his picks, the Godwin pick, the Michael Thomas pick by Paul. A lot of people were kind of hesitant on what he was doing, but I think now we're starting to see he put himself in a good position going into this week to get DeAndre Hopkins back. I think he's a big week. And he might be in my top 6 next week, but Tage is my 7th spot.
Yeah, I had a coin toss for the 7 spot. My 7th spot, maybe it'll be surprising for you guys, but I have ZT. Yeah, well, all the other top teams were making moves. ZT stayed put, and I don't think he has the roster to compete with everybody else. It's one of those situations where you see other teams, as Paul mentioned it in the chat, where Stu kind of stayed put, but I think Stu could kind of afford to do so. I like Stu's team more. I think Z team needed to make a move or needs to make a move. Still a good team, just depends on Lamar. So I have him at 7.
Barry, who's your 7th spot?
Tasia here. I'm taking Tasia with my 7 seed here. I'm a big fan of his roster. I've been a big supporter of Tasia being in the league. So he's got my 7th spot here.
That's it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice and simple.
Cool. All right. So my 8th spot is a guy who's been kind of subject. The headline of the week, he's on our show right now, is Barry is my 8th spot. I think Barry at 2-4 made a bold move and trade for Cooper Kupp. Now his team's pretty top heavy. And we're going to be interested to see what he does. I think with a team with Kyler Murray or Derek Carr, quarterback, Eckler, running back, Devontae Adams, a receiver, and then you have the flexes of Miles Sanders, Tyreek Hill, and Cooper Kupp. That's pretty scary. It just takes one loss though, because he's already at 2-4, 2 games below 500. It just takes one loss for that to not work out. And this week he doesn't have Cooper Kupp, and then next week he won't have Eckler. So we really won't see this team for a few weeks. And if he comes out 2-0 going into 2 weeks from now, then we're talking about a whole new. But he's not in my Pancake King rankings. He's in a different tier altogether. So it could either be the best trade of all time, but it could be the worst trade of all time, and we're gonna find out. But right now, Barry's my 8th spot.
My 8th spot, right behind ZT, is Tasia. Biggest thing that separated them was QB play. I think year after year we see that QB play ends up being the biggest factor with making a push to playoffs and actually winning in the playoffs. I don't think Rodgers is a guy. I like Tasia's roster, but sitting at 2-4, least points in the league right now. Hard to put him any higher. I do. Again, I mentioned earlier in the show, think he needs to make a decision on what kind of season. There he is. It looks like he's here now. On what kind of season he wants to have, I don't think it's going to compete with one of the top rosters, but his receivers make him a strong candidate to make a league push for the playoffs.
And I hear you were being a little weak with your trade offers with Tasia. I heard Tasia was trying to get some good trade going with you, and I heard you were just being, asking for the world for things.
I mean, that's just not at all what happened, but we kept switching players every single text. You know that, you son of a bitch. No, it's key trade talks. I think you could definitely be a dark horse to make a 6 seed. It's just 2-4 at least points for right now. Like I don't know where else you can put them.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I have him outside the playoffs for a reason. So we're gonna see. So 3 teams going for a championship the other night.
It's just being realistic. I don't know. It's we've seen shitty teams go to the playoffs before. Not that he has a shitty team, but it's just kind of a waste.
Ooh, Paul offering deal on the chat. Could be the first time ever get a deal done on the chat. Wow.
Ooh.
All right, Barry. Who's your 8th spot?
Yeah, with my 8th spot here, I'm going with Ruben. Yeah, right. As crazy as that sounds, but I think might get a lot of backlash for this. But Ruben actually made playoffs last year, so like a newer owner to the league, but he made playoffs last year. He could.
He has a different roster this year, right?
What's up?
I said, he's a different roster this year, right?
Yeah, he does. But he could. This week he's got my 8th spot here. Yeah, get a lot of backlash for this, but you know what? He's come a long way since being the Pancake King at the start of the season. And this week, hey, He's probably going to lose his matchup, but right now he's got my 8th spot.
I like it. Gonna get a lot of backlash for sure. All
It is
right,
what
so
it is, man.
it is what it is. You're right. Yeah, I will say. I mean, Cobb brought up a good point. I mean, it's a different team. Just because he's experienced in the playoffs doesn't mean he has a knack for making the playoffs. I mean, it's a different team altogether. I mean, he drafted really poorly this year.
He did, but you know what? Hey, he
what were you gonna say?
you know, he beat Alex a couple weeks ago, so
It's true.
That could be something
He did.
different. But right now,
Jumped
he's
up 3 spots because of it. Key.
Could be big. It could be big. All right, so my 9th spot is Roden. I like Roden's team a lot. I like the fact that he has the triple stack. I like the triple stack in ears. Anytime you get a couple of stacks, they're good stacks. I'm all about it. That's why IHOP's a sponsor of our show. I love stacks. And if you get a triple stack like Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, and Mike Evans, we're talking possibility. The possibilities are endless when you have a stack like that. You could go from being a 9 spot to a 3 spot in a span of 3 weeks. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. 2 games, he's back in the playoffs. You know, really. No, I mean, depending on how the wins shake out this week, 1 win gets you back in the playoff picture. That's how close everything is right now with the teams who are below 500 and so many of them being that way. But yeah, I like the fact that Roden has a stack, and I like the fact that he's got Tom Brady who's not looking like Tom Brady right now, because that second half of the season is going to be very different. And he has a good team to round it out outside of the Fournette, Evans, and Brady. So I think Roden's my 9, but I think there's a very possible chance that he can make the playoffs this year. And I do agree that might be the last time we see him chug, even though I love seeing him chug because he's a good chugger, and we need more of those.
We definitely do. My 9th spot's also Roden. I think he's a little bit behind Tasia and ZT, like a decent amount behind for me. Still a good roster, just top to bottom. There are some holes. And I just, again, 2 and 4, kind of shaky depth. I have him at 9. Don't think he's going to make the playoffs this year.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm also with both of you guys here. I have Dave at my 9th seed here. Tom Brady lighting up his offensive line last week. I don't know. This could be the end for Tom Brady, possibly. But
Yep.
I don't know. Just top, like Cobb was saying, just top to bottom. I'm not the biggest fan of his roster. Even with the triple stack there, I just don't know. Well, right now, you're my 9th seed. So.
All right. Okay, so my 10th spot, this was tough. For my 10th spot between Ruben and Cobb was very close. Because even though he's 3 and 3 in 7th place and he just had the high score, it's still one of those things that I can't go Cobb here. I have to go Ruben here, just because he's 3 and 3 coming off the biggest game of his season, maybe his biggest game of his short-lived basement league career so far. But I think this team's so shitty. Rashad White is his last flex. I mean, that's a third down back who, like, it's not even like a full-time third down back. I mean, it's a really bad third down guy to have as your last flex. Romeo Doubs in his starting lineup. I mean, yeah, he had a good week like 3 weeks ago, but he's back to getting 5s and 4s. And then Michael Gallup, another, like, you know, just a guy. I mean, he's got a team of just guys on his team. Like, these guys won't start on most of the teams. Right now, of all teams ahead of him, even Cobb's team, these guys wouldn't start on Cobb's team, which is pathetic, actually. I actually regret putting Ruben ahead of Cobb now that I look at it. But because he has Burrow, because he has T. Higgins, I'm going to give him a little bit of a little lean over Cobb. But, yeah, this team is awful. He shouldn't win another game this year. Those flexes are so bad. I'm happy he beat Hodge, though, because, you know, I didn't want Hodge cranking up the rankings, but I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. Well, okay, I'll go. I'll put me at 10. I was similar boat.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous that I just traded Joe Mixon and Alan Lazard, and I still have like a comparable team to Ruben. It's just ridiculous to me. It is crazy as well that Ruben does have 3 wins. Kudos to him for doing that, but I don't think he wants to be there. Like Tasia said, we do have a lot of teams that are bottom of the barrel. I think tanking, and I think Ruben's going to is one of them. For now, I'm going to put me at 10. We'll see if I end up shipping off some more pieces next week. I could easily be even lower. I do want to stay comfortably away from the Pancake King because you never know what might happen. I mean, Ruben has 3 wins this year, so literally anything can happen. So I'll put me at 10 for now.
Barry?
Yeah, I'm putting Cobb at 10 as my 10 spot here. He's made it clear that he's looking forward to next year. So therefore, you're my 10 spot.
Yeah, 11th spot for me. I got Cobb just because, he already is – at least Ruben hasn't – the funny thing is Ruben isn't tanking. Ruben hasn't actively tried to tank. He's not trading pieces. His team's already that bad. He doesn't really have to do that. Cobb, his team is better than Ruben's, and he's trying to tank. So I'm going to give him the 11th spot just because of the fact that he is – he wants to go lead in that direction. He doesn't want to be the king, a Pancake King, but he's going in that direction. So Cobb is my 11th spot here. Just the Broncos triple stack is rough, and that's why he's my 11th spot. Ooh, we just talked about it, TJ. Yeah, I think you were late to the party on that. We could talk about it, but I think we're going to kind of stick to the NFL kind of format when it comes to that. Barry, who's your 11th spot? Or no, Cobb, who's your 11th
spot? My 11th spot is Ruben. He has 3 wins, but just top to bottom. Like Dash already mentioned, the guys he's been starting, it's kind of ridiculous. But clearly his team plays really good defense. Even though he did just get top scorer this week. So, I mean, that's great. I mean, he's made more money this year than I have. So I do have Ruben at 11. I don't think, being 2 games ahead of Alex should make him comfortably out of last place. But again, you never know. But I have Ruben at 11.
With my 11th seed here, I'm actually going to take Adam. I just don't think his record. Yeah, I just don't think his record speaks to what it actually is. So he's got my 11th seed here.
What? Okay, so now you're also getting more pressure to yourself because if you lose to Adam, you're losing to the 11th worst team in the league. Then, right? I mean, that's what. And you might as well just pack your bags and go home after you lose this week. If you lose this week,
is Ruben in your top 6 then?
No, he's my Ruben's in my 7th.
Oh, he was your 8th. Or
yeah,
okay. I forgot you mentioned him already.
Who's your top 6 then? If he's not on there,
I think is
Roden
in your top 6 then?
What's up?
Roden's in your top 6. I forget who you had just now.
I think I missed the person on here actually.
Yeah, no, I like the hot take. Go off.
Well, it's a bold one, but he's also adding more pressure to himself, though.
Hey, it is what it is, man. It's like I just don't think the record speaks to what it actually is, like on paper. So,
all right, interesting, man. Okay, now we're gonna go to the Pancake King reveal. So roll the video.
You are the Pancake King, young and sweet, hiding fan of thieves. Ooh, see that boy, watch that taste, digging the Pancake King.
Dude, that song is fantastic.
I'm gonna need the lyrics because I feel like they only changed Dancing Queen to Pancake King.
Yeah, I think so. And they say "see that boy," right? Or they say "see that girl" in the song.
I think I heard "dig in" too. That's kind of key. I kind of want the lyrics.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty easy. It's Alex. Just looking at the starting lineup this week. Matt Ryan, Rondale Moore, Travis Etienne, Pat Freiermuth, Christian Kirk, Hunter Renfrow, Devin Duvernay. Just top to bottom, this is a really shitty team. He's tanking. He openly admits it, and he's excited about tanking. And he raped Barry, potentially raped Barry. So it'll be interesting to see how his team plays out. And he's also narrowly predicting that he'll win this week. So that's the guy who's openly tanking. He still thinks he's going to win, which is beyond me that he still can give him the a dub for tanking. But that's my 12th spot.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're all going to have the same 12. I wasn't quite ready to put Alex at 12 because Ruben was still yet to crack over 100 average per week, and then he came out and got the top scores. So now it's an even easier decision, especially with Cup gone. Alex, last place, looks like he sounds like he's excited for those pancakes. Gonna be interesting to see.
Barry?
Yeah, just gonna put Alex here as my last seed. You just made it clear in front of everyone that he's tanking for next year. Some people might think he raped me in the trade, but only time will tell. So
only time will tell. All right, so that leads us to last week. I will say this: you're a sneaky little bastard, Barry. Last week, remember Barry's motivational squeeze. Barry's motivation to Alex was trade your assets. You need to start building for next year. Barry turns around and ends up trading him picks for Cooper Kupp, the only asset that Alex has on his team. So very interesting that Barry did that. So I'm curious to see what Barry has to say to Alex this week. So here's Barry's motivational squeeze.
This is why you're fucking holding back, and I'm tired of the BS.
big arms.
All right, Barry, what is your motivation for Alex this week?
I mean, hey, like as you mentioned, you took my advice last week, and he traded away his assets, and I didn't think I was going to end up with Cooper Kupp, but I ended up with him. So, yeah, just you're already off to the right track. Just knowing what you got to do for the next season. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Nice, I like it. Pretty solid stuff. All right, fellas. Well. I just want to before we go. Do you guys have anything? Is there anything you want to say this week as far as like any kind of surprises? Do you think who's going to be the high score this week? Anybody want to claim that? Obviously, you're not going to claim that, Cobb. I think you're out. Barry's. You think you'll make high score this week, Barry?
I don't think this week.
No, you're going to save that one.
I said earlier, I think the high score comes from the ZT Hodge matchup. After seeing your roster, I kind of regret if I'm going to double down. Just stick by what I said.
Roster? Mine?
Yeah. I think you could easily have, but I think it comes from, I said it earlier, I'll stick to someone from ZT Hodge is going to have the high score. And then just one more pitch that I do have assets. If you guys want them, come get them.
Yep. Whoever's online right now, Cobb, still looking to trade some assets. Dalvin Cook, how easily attainable will he be without draft picks?
I mean, harder without draft picks. That's for sure. I didn't really get an offer for him. So.
Well, that'll be interesting to see who goes for him. Taja's a pretty deep team, so Taja may trade you some assets for him. But yeah, because I think he's earlier said he wants to do some 2-for-1s, so we'll see how that plays out. All right, guys. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the episode, and I wish everyone a good luck. And Barry, you putting Adam at 11th spot, and then you also being 2 and 4, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself because if you lose to a team that you think personally is 11th seed overall. 2 and 5. I think we might be coming on here next week and talking about Barry trading some assets for some future assets. So could be interesting. Could be interesting. But we'll see you guys next week. And good luck to everybody
next week. I'm excited.
Oof. Wait, what?
It's gonna be a good show next week. I'm excited.
Gonna be a lot of going on next week. I can't wait. But all right, guys. Good luck to everybody.